Scientists applied marshmallow root to damaged gut lining cells in a lab. Healing genes switched on within hours. Seeds cost $2. America's official gut medicine for 100 years. One FDA decision moved it from medicine to food. If the science still works, and the studies confirm it does, why does nobody know this plant exists? You are looking at a canister of colon broom, or Metamucil, or Benefiber, or one of the dozens of gut health products that together represent $4.5 billion in annual American spending. And every single one of them, every capsule, every powder, every subscription canister is built around one thing: a natural protective gel that coats and soothes your gut lining. And these two plants produce more of that gel naturally than any product in that $4.5 billion industry. $2. The same price as a pack of gum for a plant that replaces a $65 monthly subscription. In 1820, every American pharmacy stocked it. Your great-great-grandmother knew its name. Then it was reclassified, and an entire generation forgot it existed. And most people who spent money on gut health last year have never heard of either one of them. But what happened to remove them from medicine is not what most people expect. And once you understand it, you will never look at a gut supplement the same way again. Here is something you can check yourself right now. Open PubMed, the world's largest database of medical research. Search Metamucil clinical trials. You will find hundreds of funded industry studies. Now, search marshmallow root gut healing. You will find a fraction of that number. 100 years as an official medicine. A fraction of the modern research record. That ratio is not accidental. That gap is not science. That is economics. You cannot patent a plant that grows in a ditch. So no company funded the research. Without research, no doctor recommends it. Without recommendations, nobody hears about it. And the supplement industry fills that silence with a canister that costs $65 a month. Here is exactly how the silence was created. Not in one dramatic decision, in a system. In 1938, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act required proof of safety for anything claiming to be medicine: clinical trials, funded research, documentation. Unpatentable plants could not afford those trials. No company would pay to prove something they could not own. So they were quietly left behind. In 1916, 40% of America's official medicinal preparations were crude plant extracts. By the time the 1950s enforcement campaigns began, that number had collapsed. And what happened next is the part the supplement industry never talks about. In 1994, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act created a legal category called supplement. A supplement can be sold without ever proving it works. Marshmallow root became a supplement. It sits on a shelf next to $65 canisters of synthetic alternatives. In 1820, it was medicine. Today, the FDA calls it a food supplement. The same plant, the same root, the same 4,000-year track record, just a different category, and a $4.5 billion industry built in the gap. The moment a plant moves from medicine to supplement, no doctor can prescribe it. No insurance covers it. No pharmacy stocks it as medicine. It disappears from clinical practice overnight. Not because it stopped working, because it couldn't be owned. But what that classification change actually did to your body, and what you can do about it starting this week, is what the rest of this video is going to show you. Your gut lining is a wall. On one side is everything you eat: food, bacteria, toxins, anything that comes in. On the other side is your bloodstream. When that wall is healthy, it lets through what you need and blocks what you don't. When it breaks down, from stress, processed food, antibiotics, or just years of wear, gaps open. Things pass through that shouldn't. That is leaky gut. That is IBS. That is acid reflux. That is the chronic discomfort half the country is spending money trying to fix. Here is the problem with every gut supplement on the market. They try to rebuild that wall after it breaks down. They are always one step behind the damage. And the reason this matters more than any supplement label will ever tell you is what I am about to show you. Marshmallow root does something fundamentally different. The natural protective gel in the root coats that wall before damage occurs. It creates a physical barrier across your entire digestive tract, from your throat all the way through your colon. Inflammation arrives. The gel is already there. The wall does not break. Gut supplements rebuild what the damage keeps destroying. Marshmallow root stops the damage before it starts. They are not the same thing. One is cleanup. The other is prevention. Slippery elm does the same thing and does one more thing on top of it. Its gel feeds the beneficial bacteria already living in your gut. Used together, these two plants do a complete gut reset that specialists charge hundreds of dollars to recommend. Specialists charge hundreds. It starts at $2. That should not be possible, but it is. And there is something about how people prepare this plant that explains why millions of people have tried it and said it didn't work. I will show you that in a few minutes. But first, the history. Because this plant has a story nobody is telling, and it starts with the candy in your pantry. Here is something that will change how you think about the word marshmallow forever. In 19th century France, confectioners discovered that when you whip marshmallow root sap with egg whites and sugar, you get a light, fluffy sweet that soothes sore throats. They sold it in pharmacies, not a candy store, a pharmacy. The sweet was called pâte de guimauve. It was medicine first and dessert second. The demand grew so fast that by the 1850s, confectioners could not harvest the root quickly enough, so they replaced the root with gelatin to keep up with production. They kept the name. They threw away the medicine. The campfire treat you grew up eating is named after a plant that your great-great-grandmother bought at a pharmacy to heal her gut. The original marshmallow was medicine. The candy is the fake. And the supplement industry is now selling you back a synthetic version of what the candy industry threw away. And once you know that, every bag of marshmallows you see for the rest of your life will remind you of this video. But the candy story is not even the beginning. This plant goes back 4,000 years, and every civilization that found it reached the same conclusion independently. Ancient Egyptians boiled the root with honey and created a medicinal paste reserved for pharaohs, specifically for digestive complaints. The Greek physician Dioscorides documented it in the 1st century specifically for gut lining damage, not as a general tonic, as a targeted gut medicine. 2 civilizations, no contact. Same conclusion. You have probably spent money on gut health in the last year. This plant was available the entire time. Hit like so someone else finds this before their next canister. Now let me show you what the research actually confirmed, because the lab results are specific. A 2010 laboratory study tested marshmallow root directly on damaged human gut lining cells. Healing genes switched on. The cells began repairing and rebuilding. Think of it like this. Imagine calling an emergency repair crew to a crumbling wall and watching them show up and start working within hours. That is what happened inside those cells. Now, here is where it gets more specific. A 2019 study confirmed marshmallow root protected gut lining tissue against chemically induced damage at a standard preparation dose, not a megadose, not a pharmaceutical concentration, the dose you would make at home. And a 2011 review confirmed the anti-inflammatory effect specifically in the lower digestive tract, the section where IBS damage occurs most severely. That is not a general gut benefit. That is a targeted one. Now open PubMed, search Metamucil, count the funded submissions. Then search marshmallow root gut healing, count those. The ratio is roughly 40 funded studies for the synthetic product for every one study on the plant it replaced. That ratio did not emerge from science. It emerged from economics. For slippery elm, a 2010 study tested it on IBS patients. Participants reported improved bowel habits, less straining, and reduced discomfort within the trial period. A 2016-week Australian study measured leaky gut directly in 43 adults with reflux, IBS, bloating, and constipation. Meaningful improvement across all markers. 4 published studies confirming gut healing. For plants that cost less than a cup of coffee to grow. The math on the supplement industry does not survive that sentence. And now, I am going to show you the practical side, what I promised at the start. Because everything you just heard is useless if you do not know how to prepare and grow this plant correctly. Millions of people tried this plant, said it did not work, threw it away, went back to the $65 canister, because nobody told them that hot water was destroying the one thing that makes it work. That is not a small mistake. That is the supplement industry winning by default. Most people prepare marshmallow root as a hot tea. They boil water. They steep for 10 minutes. They drink it. And it does something, but not what it should. Here is why. Hot water pulls the starches out of the root alongside the protective gel. Those starches dilute the gel. You get a weaker preparation, half strength at best. Herbalist James Green identified this problem decades ago. Cold water extraction only. Not because heat destroys the gel completely, it doesn't. Because cold water extracts the gel in its pure concentrated form without the diluting starches. Take 2 to 3 teaspoons of dried chopped marshmallow root. Place it in a jar, fill it with cold water, cover it, leave it overnight. By morning, the water is slightly thick. You can see it when you swirl the jar. You can feel it. That thickness is the medicine. Strain it and drink it before meals. 1 jar, overnight. $2 in seeds. No monthly charge. No renewal email. No canister to throw away. This is what medicine looked like before it became a product. Now the second plant, the one that completes the protocol. And the combination of these two is what the 2020 Australian study actually tested. For slippery elm, 1 teaspoon of inner bark powder in cold water. Let it thicken for 5 minutes. Drink before meals. That gel coats your entire digestive tract within 20 minutes. Most people feel the difference within 3 days. Take both together. Cold marshmallow root water in the morning, slippery elm before meals. 2 weeks. That is the protocol the studies documented improvement within. Now let me show you how to grow this. And I want to show you something specific about this plant that separates it from every other medicinal herb you can grow. Marshmallow is a perennial. Plant it once. It comes back every spring from the same root system for decades without replanting. Most medicinal plants need to be started fresh each year. This one does not. And here is the part that surprises people. After the first year, it self-seeds. One plant naturally becomes a patch. You put $2 in the ground once. You never buy it again. Not this year, not next year, not in 10 years. A permanent medicine cabinet that refills itself for free every single spring. Seeds need cold stratification. Do not skip it. Place seeds in a small bag in your refrigerator for 6 to 8 weeks. This mimics winter and tells the seed spring has arrived. If planting in fall, you can sow directly in the ground and let winter do the work for you. Here is the step most growing guides leave out. Before you sow, rub the seed coat against sandpaper for a few seconds, just enough to scuff the surface. This improves germination more than any other single step in the entire process. Most people skip it because no one told them. You will not skip it now. Sow a 1/4 inch deep. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart. Full sun. Moist soil. This is a marsh plant. It likes water. Keep it consistently moist for the first month. After that, it is remarkably self-sufficient. I have put together a full sourcing guide for marshmallow root seeds, where to buy them, what to look for, and what to avoid. It is in the description of this video. Everything you need is there. Now here is the part that determines whether everything you just planted actually works. Because the harvest timing changes the potency of everything in that root. Here is why the harvest timing matters more than most people realize. Do not harvest roots until fall of the second or third year, and harvest specifically in fall after the plant dies back, not spring, not summer. As the plant dies back in autumn, it pulls all of its energy downward into the root. The gel concentration in a fall-harvested second-year root is measurably higher than a root pulled at any other time. A spring harvest from the same plant gives you a fraction of the medicine. Fall is the moment. That is when everything you want is concentrated in exactly the part you are going to use. Dig carefully. The root goes deep. Clean it thoroughly. Slice it into pieces and dry on a screen at low heat or in a dehydrator. Store in an airtight glass jar. Properly dried marshmallow root keeps for 2 to 3 years. You are not just growing a plant. You are building a medicine cabinet in the ground that refills itself every year for free. And I want to show you one more thing before I tell you what the next video covers. Because this plant has a history that will permanently change how you think about your medicine cabinet. For 4,000 years, humans on 5 continents grew this plant, prepared it, and healed themselves with it. Ancient Egyptians gave it to their pharaohs. Civil War medics carried it in their field kits specifically for the gut ailments that killed more soldiers than bullets. French pharmacists sold it as medicine before the candy industry replaced the root with gelatin and kept the name. A system built around what could be patented moved it from the medical shelf to the supplement shelf. The industry built a $4.5 billion business in the silence that followed. Cold water prep for marshmallow root. Inner bark powder for slippery elm. $2 in seeds. That is the entire cost of opting out of a $4.5 billion industry forever. A plant that comes back every spring without replanting. Your great-great-grandmother did not need a subscription. Neither do you. Every plant on this channel was moved out of medicine after 1910. Not because it stopped working, but because it could not be patented. The gut was just the beginning. The next video covers a plant that became too effective at lowering cholesterol. It competed directly with a patented drug. The documentation exists, and I am going to show it to you. Subscribe. You will want to see that one.